It's homework time! Yes! Let's do it, y'all. Start by putting our name at the top of the paper. I'll write my name. You go ahead and write yours. And then let's put today's date. I'll write today because, after all, it is today. And you put the actual date, like month, day, year kind of thing. We're going to draw a tape diagram starting off here to show that 1 1/3 yards equals 4 feet. And now I'm glad you're here doing this with me today because there's a specifically kind of Eureka way of doing this. So here's how it's going to look. So we want to show 1 1/3 yards and how that's equivalent to 4 feet. All right, so what we actually want to do is draw a rectangle here, a tape, that's going to be equal to 2 yards. All right, so I'm going to draw a line, zippity-doo-dah here, okay? And so this will be 1 yard. And you know what? I hope you don't mind. I'm going to kind of slow down a little bit and make this a little neater than usual. Usually I kind of blow through it just so you don't get bored. But I just want this to be neat. And so this also will be 1 yard. Okay. Now within these yards, these 2 yards, we have feet, right? And there's 3 feet in each one. So if I draw 2 lines, I'm going to make them dashed lines within each yard. That will give me 1, 2, 3 feet, right? Okay. And same thing here. And now I want to shade in, and I want this center line here to be nice and dark to show like, okay, here, these are 2 separate yards. So now to shade it in, and I recommend you do the same, actually go get yourself a color pencil, to show 1 1/3 yards, I'm going to switch colors here to my favorite little orange there. So there's 1 yard, and then 1/3 of a yard. Okay. Now let me get back in black. All right, so now this right here, look what I have shaded in. It's 1 1/3 yards. I'm going to draw a bracket underneath to show that, hey, this is 4 feet. Ooh, look at that, yeah. And now similarly with the next one, to show that half a gallon is 2 quarts, I'm actually going to draw tape for a whole gallon. I don't have quite as much room here, but we can make this work. Work it. All right, put it down. Okay, there we go. All right, so this is going to be 1 whole gallon, the whole thing here. Even though, yes, I'm showing a half gallon, I want to demonstrate by showing the whole gallon. So this is 1 gal. Hi, gal. And I'm going to do a dashed line to show the quarts in here. Now, how many quarts are in a gallon? Yes, indeed, there are 4. So split in half, split in half. Two more times, and you have your fourths, right? So 4 quarts. And now let me switch colors again. There's that little orange there. I think there's a different shade, is it? Yeah, it's a little shade darker. It's good. All right, so there's half a gallon, right? That's half the gallon. And now how many quarts did I shade in? That's right, there are 2 of them there. All right. So that is 2 quarts. And although I don't have half gallon labeled here because there simply isn't anywhere to put it, it's pretty apparent, I think, that this is half of the entire gallon that's shaded in. All right, so there's 1 and 2. Let's see what treasures are in store for us next. Yeah, you don't have to be cool to rule my world. We're going to draw a tape diagram to show that 1 3/4 gallons is equal to 7 quarts, which it is. Lucky for us. And so, look, it's the same idea as those first 2. My tape, I'm going to draw it nice and good size here, right in the middle. And now this is going to be 2 gallons because I need 1 3/4 gallons. So I'm going to go up to the next unit, so 2 gallons. So right down the middle here, I'm going to make a line that's pretty heavy, just as I did on number 1. Okay, so those are the 2 gallons. So let me label those with pretty little brackets. There's 1 gallon, 1 gal, and what a swell gal she is. All right, and there's another gal. Hey, gal. And now each of these gallons has 4 quarts inside it. Or we could decompose it into 4 quarts, we'd say. So if I draw a line down the middle and then split those 2 halves in half, we've been doing this for quite a while. There we go. So there are 4 quarts in each gallon. And so now I want to shade in, and I'm going to switch to my light orange here. I think it's a good idea if you have some color pencils handy, you do so as well. They work much better. Don't use markers. It'll bleed through and ruin your homework. So I'm going to do 1 3/4 gallons, okay, just to be clear on what I'm doing here. So there's 1, and then 3 out of 4 here is 1 3/4, right? Yeah, that's fun. Okay, now let's switch back to black. All right, so now I want to show that this is equal to 7 quarts, and here's how I do so. Just draw a bracket underneath and say, hey, this is 7 quarts. You can count them. There we go, that's it. What treasures indeed. Let's crown our accomplishments. And the next one. Well, I just love when Eureka gets all dude on us, like in this one. Dude, solve the problems. Using whatever tool works best for you. Feel the tool. Okay, well, I'm glad you're here with me tonight because you might be looking at that and parents might be looking at it saying, whatever tool works best for you, like what, a spatula, a mallet, I don't know, aviator snips? Well, the tool we're going to use is making equivalent fractions. That's the one that makes sense. And so here's how that looks. Our first one here is saying, hey, 1/2 of a foot is how many inches? Now you might just be able to say, oh, well, but watch. Let me show you how we'd use the tool to accomplish this. And sorry, but I'm going to kind of take my time and try to write neatly here because we'll squish for space. So exercise some patience here, and we'll get all this right and understand it as well. So if I set up, and you remember this from equivalent fractions, right? Well, 1/2 I'm going to multiply by some value of 1, like 2 halves, 3/3, 4/4, 5/5, 6/6, same numerator denominator is equal to 1, so that I get 12ths, because there are 12 inches in a foot. So 1 foot equals 12 inches. That's why we're dealing in 12ths here. It's not just random. It's because there are 12 inches in each foot. So 2 times what is 12? Yeah, I said it there. It's 6, right? Okay, so I'm going to multiply 1/2 times 6, which is a value of 1. So we're not changing the value of 1/2, just its form. So 2 times 6, yes, is 12. 1 times 6 is 6. 6/12 of a foot equals 6 inches. So 1/2 of a foot is 6 inches. And you can also just use kind of the logic there and say, hey, 1/2 a foot, 1/2 of 12 is 6. Okay, so now we'll be able to move more readily and speedily through the rest, although I will be doing my best to write neatly for you. So now we're dealing with 1/4 of a foot. Okay, so let's use equivalent of fractions on all of these. So 1/4, and we want to go to 12ths because there are 12 inches in a foot. So 4 times what is 12? What's 3? So if we multiply 1/4 times 3/3, we get, well, 1 times 3 is 3. So we get 3/12. So 3/12 of a foot is the same thing as 1/4 of a foot. They're just simply equivalent fractions. And how many inches is that? Well, 3 out of 12 inches is 3 inches because there are 12 inches in a foot. Okay, so now here we go, 1/6. Set it up for the equivalent fractions. All right, so we're going from 6 to 12ths. 6 times what is 12? 2. So I'm going to multiply 1/6 times 2 halves. 1 times 2 is 2. Very good. So 1/6 equals 2/12. So 2/12 of a foot is the same thing as 1/6 of a foot. How many inches is that? Well, it's 2 out of the 12 inches. It's 2 inches. All right, so 1/3. Set up your equivalent fractions equation here. And by the way, even if you think, oh, I can do all this mess in my head, I have a sneaking suspicion your teacher is going to want to see some math written out here and not just answers written in. So I'd recommend doing this. 3 times what is 12? 4. Okay, good. So I'm going to multiply 1/3 times 4/4. 3 times 4 is 12. That's what we're looking for. 1 times 4 is 4. Okay, so 1/3 of a foot is equal to 4/12 of a foot. 4 out of the 12 inches is 4 inches. Now this is interesting. On the next one, instead of doing 1/3, we're looking for 2/3 of a foot. So again, set up for your finding equivalent fractions equation. Beautiful. 3 times what is 12? Well, we just did it. It's 4, so 4/4. Writing my 4s very carefully. 2 times 4 is 8. So it's 8/12 of a foot is equal to 2/3 of a foot. 8 out of the 12 inches is 8 inches. And now, doesn't this make sense? Pause for a moment. 1/3 is 4 inches. 2/3 is 8 inches. Oh, twice as much. It all makes sense. Whoa! Math is mind-blowing sometimes. So let's look at 5/6 of a foot. Now we did 1/6 up there, so this answer should be 5 times as much. Shouldn't it now? Do you see that? We got 2 inches up there, so it should be 5 times as much, because 5/6 is 5 times 1/6. Amazing. I'm not going to say the number. I'm not going to say the number 10. Okay, 6 times what is 12? 2. So if I multiply 5/6 times 2 halves, that will give me an equivalent in 12ths. 5 times 2 is, ooh, I said it, 10. So 5/6 of a foot is equal to 10/12 of a foot, which is equal to 10 inches. Yeah! Excellent work there. See, patience pays off. Number 5 has a bunch of parts to it, so let's go tackle that bad boy right now. Whoa, I love these instructions. Solve. Boom. All right, so 2/3 of a yard is how many feet? Now, if we just wrote in a number here with no work, I'm suspecting your teacher is going to make this face. Frowny face. So I'm going to do a little work on these, and if you're in a big hurry, then okay, you can stop the video and go do it yourself. But if you want to walk through with me and really learn what we're doing here, then great to have you. So let's look at 2 2/3 of a yard. Well, I'm going to use a little simple decomposition here. 2 yards is how many feet? Well, I mean, I'll write it out here, okay? It's 2 times 3, right? Because there are 3 feet in a yard. So this is 6 feet. And this 2/3 is 2 out of the 3 feet in a yard, so it is 2 feet. So when I put together 6 feet and 2 feet, I have, right, 8 feet. All right, see how this works? All right, so with 3 yards, and I probably don't need to write out the multiplication now. We can do that in our heads. There are 3 feet in each yard. 3 times 3 is, right, 9, so that's 9 feet. And this 1/3 of a yard is 1 foot. I'll be putting those together. I can write a little plus sign here. So 9 feet and 1 foot are 10 feet. Very good. 3.5 gallons. Now you got to remember there are 4 quarts. We're going to quarts. 4 quarts in a gallon. So here we're doing 3 gallons times 4 quarts in a gallon, which means in those 3 gallons there are 12 quarts. Now half a gallon. See, oh, they're messing with us here. We're going to draw a little picture. Just a nice little simple picture here. So here's 1 gallon. Okay, and so that's a quart and that's a quart. Okay, so it's 2 quarts. So half a gallon equals 2 quarts. We see that, right? So 12 quarts and 2 quarts, 14 quarts. Very good. All right, now same thing here. We're going to do 5 gallons with 4 quarts in each gallon. 5 times 4 is 20. Good. And now they're giving us 1/4 of a gallon. Well, we know we don't have to draw a picture for this one. We know there are 4 quarts in a gallon, so one of those is 1 quart. So this is 1, all right, quart after 20. and this is 1 quart. So 20 and 1 make 21 quarts. All right, beautiful. We got a few more of these to do. Let's do it. Yep. Good evening, friends. What? Okay, so here we go. Look at these. Now we're going to do feet to inches, feet to inches, feet to inches, feet to inches. Okay, these are all feet to inches. So keeping in mind that there are 12 inches in a foot. And we did a lot of these conversions already back in number 4. So I'm not going to belabor this one and take as long as I truly could. But let's look at this. Okay, so we're going to go from 6 1/4 feet to inches. Okay, so this is pretty straightforward because 6 feet have, each of those feet has 12 inches inside it, right? So 6 times 12, well, we can actually do this, no prob, Bob. Look, 6 times 10 is 60. Remember that, 60. 6 times 2 is 12. 60 plus 12. 60 and 10 is 70, and 2 more is 72. Okay, so in 6 feet, there are 72 inches. Now, the 1/4, we can set up as we did before, and I know you could just look up, but we can do this quickly, no problem, because we are patient and we want to learn things correctly. Going 1/4 of a foot is how many inches, how many twelfths? Well, 4 times 3 is 12, so times 3/3, 1 times 3 is 3, and so it's 72 inches plus 3 inches. Got it? 75 inches altogether. See how that works? All right, and same thing here. Now we're going to do 7 feet times 12 inches per foot. And don't worry, we can do this one as well. Watch. 7 times 10, 70. Remember that, 70. 7 times 2, 14. Remember that. 70 plus 14. Well, you can break that down as well. 70 plus 14, do this. 70 plus 10 is 80, and 4 more is 84. Very good. So this is 84 inches. And now the 1/3 of a foot, do the same thing. Say, hey, it's 1/3, and we're going to 12ths, so we know how many inches we're talking about. 3 times 4 is 12. We just did this, I know. 1 times 4 is 4, so 1/3 of a foot is 4 inches. 84 inches and 4 inches. 84 and 4. Here we go, 88 inches. Now let's look at 2.5 feet. All right, so 2 feet. All right, well, that's a little more straightforward. 2 times 12, I bet you know that one. Yeah, 24, and we're talking about inches, Ed. And then the 1/2, well, you probably know this, but we'll write out anyway. That's a 1 right there. So 1/2 is how many twelfths? Well, 2 times what is 12? 6. So times 6, 6. 1 times 6 is 6. Yes, half a foot is 6 inches. Plus the 24 inches. 24 and 6 make 30. Very good. So 2.5 feet is 30 inches. All right, let's look at this one. 5 3/4 of a foot. All right, well, so first let's do the 5 feet at 12 inches per foot. Again, we can do this in our head by doing it backwards. 5 times 10 is 50. Remember that, 50. 5 times 2 is 10. 50 and 10 make 60. Very good. So 5 feet contains 60 inches. Now with this 3/4, we're going out to twelfths with it, right? Yep, taking our time, doing it right. 4 times what is 12? 3. So multiplying 3/4 times 3/3, 3 times 3 is 9. So that means 3/4 of a foot is 9/12 of a foot, which is to say 9 inches. 60 and 9 make 69 inches. There we go. All right, 9 2/3 foot. All right, let's start off with the 9 feet times 12 inches per foot. And again, we can do this one in our heads backwards. 9 times 10, 90. Remember that. 9 times 2, 18. 90 plus 18, we'll do 90 and 10, 100, 8 more than 100, 108. So that's 108 inches in 9 feet. And now at the 2/3, We're going to go to twelfths with that. 3 times what is 12? Right, 4, so we multiply it by 4/4. 2 times 4 is 8, so 2/3 of a foot is 8/12 of a foot, which is to say 8 inches. And so now we have to just put those together, and I'll write this one out so we can actually see what we're doing. 108 plus 8, right, is 116. We see that? Good. So 9 2/3 foot is 116 inches. And if you take a minute before we do the last one, just to kind of look this over, like which of these is the smallest? Okay, smallest number of feet, 2.5, and has the smallest number of inches. Does this make sense? Oh, this one's more than double that, and so it's more than double. Like these are making relative sense. 9 2/3 foot is the biggest number of feet on the page, and so it has the largest number of inches. Everything's making sense. It's kind of checking out relative to each other here. All right, last one here, and homework is done. We already did 7 times 12, didn't we? Back up in F. Yep, it's 84. And now with the 5, 6, I'm going to do it down here. So we're going from 6 to 12ths. 6 times what is 12? 2. So we're multiplied by 2 halves. 5 times 2 is 10. Very good. So 84 inches and 10 inches. 94 inches. And look, you blessed child, you've done it again. Nice work. You gone and finished another homework time. Excellent. I will see you again next time. It is once again homework time.